I met a pediatrician online a number of months ago who had a practice in Manhattan in New York City, and she actually has dogs in her office for kids to feel more comfortable, which I thought was so cool when they go to the doctor. I mean, I thought to myself, I would like that because I hate going to the doctor.
Just a little taster of what is coming up on the show. But first, please do like this video and subscribe to the channel. And also tell your friends and family about this podcast. Please let us know in the comments if you would like to hear any particular topic in relation to sleep or health. And I will create a show especially for you, just for asking the question. So let's get on with the show. Welcome everybody back to the Empowering Family Health Podcast. Today I have another incredible guest on the show. Today we are going to be talking all about animals and how animals and pets can really help to improve your life and your longevity. And pets, especially like dogs and cats, we know that they can help reduce our stress, our anxiety, depression, and the world needs a lot less of that now at the moment. And we know that pets can help us get out there and exercise, improving our cardiovascular health, and even bringing some fun and playfulness into our lives. And we know pets can help with children and older adults as well. So we're going to talk all about that today on the show with my special guest, Jan Jeremias. I hope I pronounced that right. Jan, did I pronounce your name right?
Yes, you did.
Okay, great. So I'm going to be talking all about that. And we're also going to bring in essential oils. Now, I'm a lover of essential oils. I really believe in the power of their work. I'm a professional aromatherapist myself as well. So, Jan, before we start the conversation, I'm just going to read out your bio to everyone. This is a really, really impressive bio. So, Jan Jeremias is an MSc. Is that right? MSc, God, I'm sorry. She's highly qualified. She's a certified yoga teacher and a reflexologist, and she's got an extensive background in science and health. Jan received her bachelor's degree in biology from Stern College for Women and her master's degree in immunology of infectious diseases and her diploma in tropical medicine from the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine University of London. Jan worked in clinical infectious disease and cancer research centres at Cornell University Medical College and Mount Sinai Medical School in New York City for over 20 years. So you can see already the extent of her knowledge and experience. And in addition, Jan also worked for the New York City Department of Health for 4 years. So while she was working there, Jan was introduced to essential oils to help her with her 14-year-old dog, Casey, who had canine cognitive disorder or old dog dementia. Oh, wow, we're going to talk about that as well. That's interesting. And at first, Jan did not know about the power and the benefits using essential oils and other healing modalities, but she soon became convinced when her dog began acting and feeling better. Casey lived to the age of 19 years old, and since then, Jan has completed extensive coursework in aromatherapy and an intensive course on essential oils for animals. And her passion for natural health and her scientific background has allowed her to help people and their pets worldwide. Jan has unique ability to merge the West and the East to empower people and pets in a journey to wellness. So you can look out for Jan on Facebook and LinkedIn. We're going to put all the links of how you can connect with Jan in the show notes, and we'll get Jan to tell us those at the end as well. So Jan, you're very, very welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. So good to be here, Joanne. I'm so excited.
Yeah, this is something that we don't often talk about. And, what we've gone through in the last number of years, when it comes to loneliness and, there's a lot of people living on their own, and that's the worst kind of illness, I think. There has been lots of studies done on it. Can you tell us, Jan, let's start there. How because this is something that really is really overlooked. How can animals help to, as a companion? To talk to us about that.
Oh my gosh, I think that animals help beyond. I know I talk to my animals all the time and always have.
And you're not mad.
I know, and thank you. That might be debatable to some people, but we'll go that I'm not. But they're just a good sounding board. And I think that one of the benefits of animals in that way is that we never feel like they're judging us. Every now and then I saw a really cute cartoon with a dog in the driver's seat, and the person is like talking or whatever, and the dog says something like, I don't know if I signed up for this. And it was hysterical because I don't really know that we think about what we're telling them, but we really literally tell them everything. We cry in front of them, we hug them, we talk to them, we get silly. I think we talk in what I call, like when I'm talking to another, like if I'm online and somebody has a dog and I say something, my voice changes. I guess, you get that kind of, I don't know, it's like an endearing voice. And all of a sudden my dog comes running because he's like, who are you talking to? That's not me. Like it's so funny. But they have such an unbelievable ability to love us no matter what state we're in. And I think we all need that. We all need someone where we feel like we're not being judged and we can just be ourselves.
Yeah, you said that word a couple of times, they don't judge us. And I think that's crucial because, we as human beings, we're forever going around judging people, complaining, commenting, and, making other people wrong. Whereas dogs do none of that. Absolutely none of that.
Absolutely not. And, there's nothing like, I always say, they have, I can leave for 5 seconds and I still get this greeting like I've been gone for a month.
Yeah.
And I think that there's nothing like that pure joy and excitement they get. Like, how many people do I know that when I walk in the door, like that's their reaction, even people, and
absolutely. And like, it's so great as well, because you have that expectation and that they're going to love you unconditionally, no matter what, like whatever you say. And I love what you said, you confide in your animals, your dog or your cat or whatever, your bird, you confide in them and you tell them things, and they might have a clue or comprehend or whatever, but it's like another life that's listening, and we do that. We talk, and it feels so much better when we can express ourselves. And you know what? An awful lot of the time when we're worried or upset about something, when we voice it, you could be just in a room, just talking to yourself, or even writing it down, journaling. But when we express it, it's just so much relief in that. And we don't necessarily always need a solution. It's just to be heard, even if it's by your dog.
Mm-hmm. And I think they do understand to some extent. Like, I think that, I'll sit there and, I have a friend, every time she leaves the house, she'll go to her dog and say, don't worry, I'm coming back, kind of thing. And just because I think they can feel our anxiety and they sense
you're right. Yeah.
So I was talking to a client recently who's trying to introduce a new cat, and she has a cat and the cats aren't getting along. And I said, part of the issue now is you're so anxious when you put them together. I think your cat is picking up on that anxiety because he's sitting there and saying, oh my gosh, mom is stressed, what do I have to be scared of? Or what should I be looking out for? And I think, it was a huge mirror for me. I remember when I realized that my stress was affecting my dog, and I was like, okay, I guess I've got a good way to deal with it.
They can really pick up on it. They can hone in. And I think it's because they're so living in the moment. They're living in the present, like not like us human beings. We're so distracted and preoccupied with other things, whereas animals live right in the moment. I think that's what's different about them.
Mm-hmm. They do. They, I think they so live in the present moment. They know what's important, love, food, play, sleep, and everything else is kind of unimportant,
Yeah. And what's your take on so there's a lot of older people who are living on their own, and even in nursing homes and stuff, and I've actually seen dogs been taken into nursing homes for the purpose of like companionship and lifting the spirits of older people.
Oh, I think it's amazing. I think also that, again, that unconditional love. I think that as someone ages, there's so much, I remember my grandmother, and I remember the things, and she was very cognitively aware. So she could definitely notice like her not being able to do things like she used to be. And I see it now with my parents, you know, and I think that there's so many things that you have to give up, or you feel like all of a sudden you can't do anymore, just to know that you're still loved. Yes. And then also to substitute for that loneliness, because, you know, I've volunteered, I've worked in homes for like the elderly before. And so many of those individuals never get visitors. And even if they do, it's maybe for a short period of the day.
It's not enough. Yeah.
It's not enough. And I think they need that, you know, that ability to love something and be loved in return.
Yeah. And actually science has shown as well that, you know, our oxytocin, so this is a chemical, this is released when it's the bonding hormone, and it is, science has shown it's released in our bodies, you know, and dopamine and all these, you know, feel good neurotransmitters, and they help with pain, they help with just having a better outlook on life, they reduce cortisol, blood pressure, like so many things, Jan. It's like incredible, you know, just from simply stroking an animal. And they've also shown that it's the slow stroking, it really slows everything down in your body, slows your breathing down even, and there's just so much going on so many different layers.
Yeah, I remember as a practice I was doing with some people at one point, and I think it was actually in the beginning of COVID, where, I mean, people will do like kind of matching your breath with your pet's breath. So seeing if you can time it, because it takes concentration and focus, and yet also like they're breathing with you. And it was really, really interesting to be able to see the shift or feel the shift for everybody. I mean, nobody was together, so everybody in their own place. And animals really pick up on that calmness. Like they really, you know, how many people I know who, you know, practice yoga, and especially on Zoom, and all their animals come in. You know, it's like hysterical. It's like, you know, they know.
Wow.
And I do think that there is this whole physiological benefit that happens, you know, from the lowering of the
absolutely,
and cortisol, and, you know, and just that, it's going to make you feel better. And then the physiological benefits of, like, you know, with older people, if they have an animal, it forces them to get outside. They're forced to socialize, because usually you meet somebody else when you're out walking, depending on where you live. And you're also getting exercise, some form of exercise.
And you know what else I've noticed as well? Like I do a lot of walking, and, you know, people will be out walking their dogs, and I'd often stop and pet their dog and have a little chat then. And the only reason I've stopped and engaged in a conversation with the people is because of their dog.
Absolutely. People are always like, you know, I always say that sometimes people don't even speak to you. They just go up and they're like, can I pet your dog? And they just concentrate on the dog. And it's kind of funny. Like, I'm here too. Hi, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. John, tell us about your book. You're a published author. Tell us all about your book and why you wrote that book.
So wrote that book because I started using essential oils for my pets, and I was getting approached by a lot of people who had questions about using essential oils in and around their animals. So with their animals and then in their homes. And I wanted people to have a clear guide as to safety and how to use them and when to use them, and all the different all the different nuances of using essential oils around pets. And I think
give us the name of your book, Jan. Spoil Your Pets Essential Oils?
Yeah, Spoil Your Pet, a practical guide to using essential oils in dogs and cats. And I've worked with other animals. I mean, I co-authored the book with a friend of mine who's a veterinarian, Dr. Mia Frezzo. And she was a small animal vet, which mainly is dogs and cats. So those were where we concentrated. It was also, we were thinking about the majority of people that really have dogs and cats and some pocket pets, but, you know, where we lived at the time, very few horses. So I've worked on horses, but that wasn't included. But yeah, it was just a way we could help people sort of with traditional veterinary medicine, be empowered, which was our key word. We, you know, having had situations personally with my health journey and my pet's health journey where like traditional veterinary medicine wasn't offering much solution. And I think the feeling of helplessness is the worst thing in the world. And, you know, whether it works or it doesn't work, sometimes it's not even, it's just that at least you feel like you're doing something.
And it could be placebo as well.
Yeah. But to me, it never really mattered, even with my scientific background, because I felt empowered, and I felt like I knew it had, I just knew it had to be helping in some way, whether it was just by that.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned horses there as well. And I interviewed a lady, I think it was episode 4 on my podcast. It was one of the earlier podcasts. And she was talking all about how she uses horses. The horses tap into, like dogs as well, how they can tap into, and she brings families in, and she can tell which person in the family is the anxious one and who needs work on. And even just working with the animals, it can just like sink in, like what you're talking about, the dog sinking to the dog's breath, sink into the horse and really calming them down. And it's just powerful work, Jan, that we don't realize how powerful these animals are and how they can pick up on our energy. And just thought I'd mention about the horses, because that's another area that I hear a lot of people working in. So you use the essential oils on the dogs. Tell us how you use essential oils, or on cats or whatever. How do you use the essential oils?
So the most common ways is either, quality makes a huge difference. So if you're going to do any of what I'm going to talk about, make sure you're using a really high quality oil. Especially with animals, because I think their sense of smell and their ability to process toxins is very different than ours.
You know what? It's they won't. I've seen dogs who won't drink tap water, but they'll drink filtered water. They know which is the better quality, so they do. They can pick up on toxins. Yeah.
And so, but the basic 3 ways you can, or 2 ways I suggest using them for dogs, and 3 ways you could use them in cats is either topically, where you apply the oils to your hands and massage your pet, which also brings in the whole idea of connection and touch, which is, massage and that whole, and all the benefits that carries on its own. Diffusing an essential oil. So that's putting in an essential oil diffuser and letting it disperse through the air, which is a wonderful way because it's not intrusive and it's not like you have to apply them. So for animals that are resistant or don't like oils, my animals have always been oil animals. I've used oils on Tonka since he was 4 months old, and he grew up around them, and he, doesn't care. I could do anything to him. But there are animals that don't like it and have to get it, adjusted. And there's no reason why you can't diffuse.
Yeah.
And, then the other way is through the litter box. So that's a great way when you're working with cats, is to add essential oils to, let's say, baking soda, and then add like a spoonful of the baking soda essential oil mixture to the litter box. And then they get exposed to that by smell and by digging. And then that's benefit them.
That's interesting. We're getting a cat in a couple of weeks. That's interesting. So baking soda, and just put a couple of drops of essential oil on the baking soda and put it into the litter tray.
And then there are different oils you might add depending on a health condition or what you're trying, what you want your outcome to be. So let's say you wanted something like longevity or calming, or you had an animal, a cat with, with kidney issues, you might choose a different oil. But, so, and some of that's just personal preference. I always say cats don't like citrus. So I would avoid citrus for that reason, because they don't usually like it. And then the other thing is, when you're doing it for the first time, my suggestion is always you have like 2 litter boxes and just make sure they're going to go, because the last thing you want is for them to avoid the litter box because they don't like the smell.
That's a great tip.
So just have one. I've never had a cat. Well, once I had a cat and I didn't use citrus in the mixture, but I got the new litter box and it had like glue from the label on it. And I was trying to get glue off. So I use citrus oils to get the glue off, because it'll get rid of some of the glue. Yeah. And he wouldn't go near it because it smelled like citrus. And I had to wash the litter box and then add litter and then everything. But it was so funny because I was like, it was really funny because I was like, oh, why wouldn't you go near it? And then I realized it was the citrus smell. They're
very strong. The citrus. So lavender, I suspect, would be a safe, easy one to start off with, maybe.
Yeah, lavender's really good oil. It's calming. I like frankincense.
Oh, yeah.
Frankincense for everything. So I like frankincense. And then there are a few others like, blends or whatever you can use, but it's a great way. And, in general, there's all these creative ways you can use. There are diffuser collars you can get, which have either a tag with a filter in it. So you can put oils on a tag for a pet, or sometimes there's a patch on a collar and you can apply oils to the collar. And that way they're getting kind of I always say I don't need a diffuser, because when I apply oils and Tonka walks behind me, it's almost like I have a portable diffuser that goes with me everywhere.
That's brilliant. I had the pleasure of Tonka, I had the pleasure of meet Tonka on one of our previous calls, and he's just adorable. He's gorgeous, and he's so placid. And I mean, you were speaking to him when, you know, on our last call, and it was just so cute, and just it was like talking to a child, like, you know. And he knew exactly, you know, you were telling him to go up to bed, and he went straight up to bed, and it was just so cute. Like, it was like, oh my gosh, like a baby. But tell us about Tonka. How, like, you had him from a very young age, and how old is he now?
He's 10.
He's 10 now. So you bring him to some of your work events, do you? Like, you bring him out and about.
Yeah, I bring him out. Well, I've taken him to, you know, he's been a model for many of my oil classes through the years. You know, he'll come. I love doing those types of classes because then people see firsthand the way to apply and the way to use them, and different tips that, you know, can always help, like tricks of the trade. And then one of the things, I am a yoga teacher, and my specialty is teaching older adults and seniors. And so I do a lot of work in assisted living, or, you know, over 55 communities, and I bring him with me a lot. It's just like an added benefit. He wanders the room while I'm teaching, and usually he's pretty good. Every now and then he barks, you know, but otherwise he's really good. He's really friendly. Sometimes he's loud.
That's a novelty, bringing your dog to a yoga class. That's a treat. Yeah.
So he likes it. They all want to adopt him. And I always say, you can babysit whenever you want. Excuse me.
Wow. And you do reflexology. So I presume you use the oils for that as well. So you've got a lot of skills and ways that you can help people. What way do you meet people on one-to-one and in group sessions? Do you do online stuff? Tell us about how you can help people, and you know, how people can reach you, Jan.
So I do, a lot of my work is Zoomed. So things like yoga or essential oil sessions, or even Reiki, I do Zoom virtually.
Do you do Reiki on animals as well? Reiki on animals?
That's actually my predominant. I do it more on animals than I do on people. And the effect is just phenomenal. It just has such great effects. So I will do that. Gentle massage. It doesn't work virtually. I have given reflexology tutorials to people so they know how to work on themselves or for somebody else that they want to work with. I mean, I do in person, but for those people who are not like local, I have given like tutorials and talked people through doing reflexology on themselves or family members if they would like to do that.
That's so great. Yeah, because there's a lot you can do to help reduce pain and reduce stress, and, you know, just a few different points, and even on the hands as well as the feet, and our ears as well. We would reflexology point in our ears as well. It's a really powerful modality. Like, there's hundreds of modalities out there, and, you know, you've got quite a few in there that and applying the oils to all that as well is powerful.
Yeah, I do love, and I love combining, because I think there are multiple modalities, and I'll never say something is not good or one thing's really better than the other, because I think there's just so many out there, and you kind of just have to find which one works for you. Or what you want to try in conjunction with something else, you know. Yeah. And
there's something I just want to touch on. We're running out of time. This has just been a fantastic conversation, Jan. It really is. I love animals myself. I really, really do. You had a post on your page, on your Facebook page, right, and on your LinkedIn page as well. And it was what was it? Oh, it was a study. It was about how children reading to their buddies, their pet buddies, and how it helps to increase their self-confidence. There was a study done that says students who read to animals for 15 to 20 minutes once a week can increase their reading skills by up to 20%. And also the children are more self-confident as a result of that. Can you talk to us about that and how animals help children?
Well, I mean, I think, like I said, the non-judgmental, and I had a friend who was a reading specialist, and she used to say they used to use dogs all the time to help kids that were having challenges with reading to get more comfortable reading. And some of that is, you know, this fear of making a mistake. I think it's one thing to read, but to read out loud is always very daunting, especially if you're reading it in front of a class. And then all of a sudden what if I make a mistake, and everybody's going to laugh and whatever. And so reading to a pet or a dog, if you're in a library, because a lot of libraries have dogs or schools have dogs, it gives them the experience of reading out loud to something that's not where they don't have to worry about making a mistake. And they've found that it really helps children to feel more comfortable reading out loud. And it improves their self-confidence, and there's some work which I think the study I read was saying that, they're not sure the long-term effects. So they're not sure how long it lasts and whether it has to be something that's continued over a long period of time. But the short term, they did find that it was in helping cognitive awareness and, learning abilities and things in kids with special needs. So
yeah, that's powerful. And and what I can really hear in all of that is it helps children to feel safe, and it helps children to express themselves. And I think that's what's missing with a lot of children. They're not seen and not heard. We've heard of that phrase, and it really dampens down everything, and it dampens down their expression of who they are and then the adult they grow into. So I think it's really super important that children can express themselves and can say whatever it is that they're feeling without being judged and been loved unconditionally. And I think that's really what's missing with a lot of children, and animals can provide that for them. So there definitely is a big place for animals with children.
I met a pediatrician online a number of months ago who had a practice in Manhattan in New York City. And she actually has dogs in her office for kids to feel more comfortable, which I thought was so cool when they go to the doctor. I mean, I thought to myself, I would like that because I hate going to the doctor.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah.
I know, I thought it was brilliant. I was like, oh, that's so nice to sit there and think, how are you going to make kids feel more comfortable, doing something that, we do from the time we're really young, from, having to go to physicians.
Yeah, because a lot of kids are afraid of going to the doctors, with the needles and whatever else, and that's a fantastic idea. Jan, tell us about, so our pets don't last forever. They don't live to the same age as we do. Many die between the ages of 15 and 20. Can you tell us how that impacts children or families in general, and how that can help us go through grief?
Yeah, I think that, pets teach us at any age a lot of different things. I mean, they teach us responsibility, the studies on, helping to create habits. And, and that study was done on teenagers who are diabetics, tend to conform to their health routine or be more diligent in their health routine than kids that don't have pets, which I thought was so interesting because it wasn't like they changed anything else.
Yeah.
But on top of that, when we lose a pet, I think it teaches us that things don't last forever, that, that life is fragile, and that, we need to value things when they're around. We need to love people or beings when they're here. And I think that it's a great, not that it's an easy experience. I remember I had a cat when I was young that got hit by a car, but my next cat that I really remember, I think passed away when I was like 12. And
they're part of the family. They're part of the family.
They're part of the family. And I remember that. And I've met people who have never experienced a loss till they were much older. And I think that that's hard.
That's hard. That harder. Like, I know grief is, and it goes through many different steps, and it's a different time length for everybody. It could take a couple of years, but when you've had that experience, as you say, going through with a pet, I think what you're saying is it helps to set you up for, like, if you lose a person in the family, maybe even.
I think it does. I think it prepares children or somebody of any age, but children especially, for the loss of people. I think, it's not such a foreign thing. And I think it is.
It's part of life.
It's part of life. Exactly. It's part of life. And I think, I was actually instrumental because when my cat was very ill, my mother took it to the vet, and I was at school, and he wanted to put my cat to sleep. And my mother said, can't do it. It's my daughter's cat. I've got to let her decide. And she brought him home and said, he's really sick. And I remember how hard it was, but I was really happy she did it. One is I got to say goodbye. And I thought to myself years later as an adult, and maybe that, like, if I had never gotten the chance to say goodbye to him and she would have just had him put to sleep, I think I would have so much harder for me, but she, I got to say goodbye. I didn't go with her to the vet, but I remember hugging him. I can see it in my mind. I remember hugging him at the door and handed him to my mother, and then she took him. Well, I think she probably, I'm sure it was hard for her too, obviously, because I remember by the door and looking at me probably, but it was like something that I don't think I would have, I wouldn't have had it be different. I wouldn't have had it been any other way.
It was easy to accept it, you know, that acceptance part of grief. It was because you got to say your goodbyes, and you knew what was going to happen, and you had a bit of power over that as well.
That's right. Because I think the otherwise, is that feeling. How often do we feel like that, where we feel helpless, or we feel like we should have said goodbye and we didn't say goodbye? Or,
no, that's great. And that's a really important lesson when it comes to, because grief is a very, and we all deal with grief, whether it's losing a person we love, or a dog, or an animal that we love. It could also be losing a relationship breaking up, you know. So grief comes in many different forms, and it's basically that detachment, being able to detach emotionally, and get on with our lives, you know, and not have that, you know, pulling at us, you know, and the grief and the regret or whatever else. So it's a really important part of life, going through that process and being able to be in some kind of control of it. And we all go through it. But, you know, to be able to let go of a lot of stuff, you know, when we see that with a pet, it can possibly help us with real other situations in our lives as well. So we've spoken about how having an animal can help children be responsible as well, and I love that. I absolutely love that. And like, my daughter's getting a cat now in a couple of weeks, and she has agreed, she has some savings, and she's buying, you know, the X, Y, and Z, the pet bed and toys and whatever else, and I'm paying for something else. So we've an agreement in place, and she's agreed to clean the litter tray thing, you know, and all of that. So there's responsibilities put in place. So I'm curious now. I know she will do it, but it just gives her something to do, and it gives her a sense of responsibility and being in control and maturing as well. So I think that's really important for kids growing up too. So Jan, tell us, give us your web address, or where can people actually find you? We put this in the show notes as well.
Yeah, the easiest and best way is through either LinkedIn or Facebook. I would recommend to people. So both are underneath my name,
okay.
Jan Jeremias. And, you know, and then just connect with me there. Send me a personal message. I'm glad to connect with you. Either if you have an idea or a thought, or if you want to talk to me about some plan for yourself or your pet. You know, I think that everything that happens to us happens to them, and vice versa. You know, really this great mirror. And not only that, but so much of what we go through really is them. And so, you know, my old trainer used to say to me, the leash is just an external umbilical cord. That's all it is. And so
oh my God,
that image to me always has remained, you know, and I do feel like that. So
that is powerful. That is powerful. So Jan, we've talked all about how animals can be a great companion for older people, reducing that loneliness, that feeling of loneliness, that connectedness, how animals can help with kids, you know, with our cardiovascular health, our cognitive function, our blood pressure, all that, like everything. It just, and science has shown us that it reduces cortisol in our body, which we know too much that can cause too much inflammation and a whole load of other cascading negative effects in our body as well. So there's many reasons why having a pet can be so beneficial, and using essential oils to further keep our pets happy. And, you know, just when we're using essential oils on our pets, we're using it on ourselves. Like you're saying, your Tonka is your own personal diffuser, and he follows you around the place. So, you know, again, two people are getting the benefits of using the oil. So it's just incredible. Jan, it's been an amazing conversation. I think it's a very crucial topic as well for families to hear about, and how it can benefit their life and their longevity, and living a good quality of life as well, because a lot of people are living longer, but we want to live a good quality of life, not live a life in pain as we get older as well. So Jan, thank you so much for being with us, and have a wonderful day.
Yes, you also. Thank you, Joanne.
I do hope you are enjoying these conversations, and to help me continue pushing these videos and audio podcasts together, I do have an ask. I do need support to help me to keep bringing you knowledge and insights. There is a Patreon link, patreon.com/empowering family health, or you can make a donation via PayPal. All the links are in the description and the pinned comment. You can do a one-off, or you can do a monthly support. So I'd really appreciate that. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. Take care.